I want you to be completely, brutally honest with yourself for the next few minutes. Look exactly at what you are doing right now. You are staring at a glowing screen, listening to another video about self-improvement, ancient philosophy, or extreme discipline. You probably watched one exactly like this yesterday. You will almost certainly watch another one tomorrow. You buy the hardcover books, you meticulously highlight the quotes from Marcus Aurelius, you save the multi-hour podcasts, and you build elaborate, highly optimized morning routines in your imagination. You feel a sudden surge of inspiration. You feel an overwhelming sense that you are finally moving forward. But I need to shatter this comforting, seductive illusion right now. You are not moving forward. You are standing completely, hopelessly still. You are addicted to the feeling of progress without ever experiencing the painful friction of actual action. You have become a willing victim of the ultimate modern trap, the illusion of knowledge. We are living in an era of unprecedented, paralyzing information obesity. Never before in the entire history of the human race has so much profound, life-altering wisdom been so easily accessible. You literally hold the accumulated knowledge of the greatest emperors, battlefield generals, and philosophers in your pocket. But instead of using this lethal wisdom to build an empire, you are consuming it exactly like junk food. You are binge-watching self-improvement content because it triggers a massive, unearned release of dopamine in your brain. Your neurology is being successfully hijacked by your own ambition. When you watch a highly edited video about building a massive business or forging an aesthetic physique, your brain chemically rewards you as if you have actually done the brutal, exhausting work. You get the emotional trophy without ever stepping foot onto the battlefield. This is not productivity, this is intellectual masturbation. It is cheap entertainment cleverly disguised as elite ambition. Think about the highly sophisticated, intellectual excuses you use every single day to delay taking action. You tell yourself that you are simply preparing. You say, I just need to read one more book on the subject before I launch. I just need to watch one more tutorial to find the absolutely perfect strategy. I need to completely optimize my Notion workspace and my sleep schedule before I start the real work. This is a devastating lie. Preparation, when taken past the point of absolute, bare minimum necessity, is just procrastination wearing a suit and tie. Perfectionism is not a high standard of excellence. It is a psychological shield used by your terrified ego to protect itself from the very real possibility of public failure. You are paralyzed by endless analysis. You are gathering so much theoretical weight that you cannot take a single, practical step forward. You have constructed a new identity for yourself. You are not a creator. You are a collector. You collect bookmarks. You collect saved videos. You collect motivational quotes. You fetishize the tools of productivity while actively avoiding the bloody reality of production. But a perfectly organized desk has never written a masterpiece. A pristine pair of running shoes has never run a marathon. The tools are useless if the hand that holds them is paralyzed by fear. 2,000 years ago, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus identified this exact psychological sickness. Epictetus was a former physical slave who fought his way to become one of the greatest, most respected teachers in the Roman Empire. Because of his brutal past, he had absolutely zero tolerance for wealthy, comfortable students who only wanted to memorize theoretical philosophy to sound smart at dinner parties. He delivered a brutal, uncompromising directive to his followers. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. He understood that knowing the right path and actually walking the right path are two entirely different universes. You can memorize every single brilliant word Seneca ever wrote. You can perfectly, flawlessly recite the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius in its original language. But if you close the book and immediately lose your temper at a minor inconvenience, procrastinate on your actual work, or surrender to cheap digital distractions, then your theoretical knowledge is entirely worthless. You are nothing but a highly educated coward. Let us use the ancient metaphor of the gladiator and the pristine scholar. You have spent years sitting safely in the comfortable, shaded stands of the Colosseum. You have meticulously studied the movements of the fighters. You know the exact names of the weapons. You have analyzed the strategies, and you can expertly, loudly critique every single technical mistake the gladiators make in the sand below. But you have never once stepped down into the blood, the sweat, and the dirt of the arena. You have never held a heavy, iron sword. You have never felt the terrifying, breath-stealing reality of a physical strike aimed at your head. A bruised, bleeding, terrified amateur who steps into the arena and wildly swings his sword just one time knows infinitely more about the reality of combat than the pristine, untouched scholar sitting safely in the stands with his notebook. The unforgiving world does not reward the scholar. The world only rewards the man in the arena. The Stoics did not sit around in safe rooms endlessly discussing abstract theories. They used philosophy as a sharp, pragmatic, brutal tool for survival and conquest. Philosophy was not a podcast they listened to while relaxing. It was the heavy operating system they used to govern collapsing empires, survive political exile, and face their own executioners without blinking. Seneca wrote about the ultimate test of theory. A pilot is not tested when the sea is calm. Anyone can read a book about navigation when the sun is shining and the water is flat. Anyone can feel like a disciplined stoic when they are sitting in a comfortable, temperature-controlled room with a cup of coffee. But who are you when the storm hits? Who are you when you lose your job? When your heart is broken? Or when you are completely exhausted and unmotivated? That is the only moment your philosophy actually matters. If your philosophy breaks the second the wind starts howling, you do not possess philosophy, you possess a hobby. Why are you so terrified of execution? Because execution absolutely requires you to face the raw, unedited, humiliating reality of your own current incompetence. When you only read about building a skill, you remain perfect and flawless in your imagination. But the exact second you sit down to actually write the code, lift the heavy weight, or launch the project, you are violently forced to confront how weak, slow, and unskilled you currently are. It is deeply humiliating. It shatters the fragile ego. So, you instinctively retreat back to the safety of consuming more content, where you can feel powerful and capable again. You must break this cowardly, miserable cycle today. You must aggressively learn to fall in love with the humiliation of being a beginner. You must embrace the awkward friction of sucking at something, because that painful friction is the only door that leads to actual mastery. You do not need more motivation. Motivation is a myth, a fairy tale sold to weak people by a billion-dollar self-help industry. Motivation is an unreliable, fleeting, pathetic emotion that depends entirely on the weather, your mood, and how much sleep you got last night. Discipline, however, is a sovereign, unbreakable choice. Discipline means executing the necessary, painful action regardless of your fluctuating emotional state. You do not wait until you magically feel like an ancient Spartan warrior to do the hard work. You do the hard work until the weak, excuse-making version of you starves to death, and the Spartan is the absolute only thing left standing. Stop asking the internet for the secret formula. Stop looking for the perfect morning routine. The brutal, undeniable secret is that there is no secret. The work is the secret. It is time to implement a radical, uncompromising embargo on your own consumption. For every 1 hour you spend consuming information, you must force yourself to spend 4 hours executing in absolute, unbroken silence. Starve your brain of cheap, unearned motivational dopamine and forcefully command it to earn its dopamine through literal physical and mental achievement. This video is ending. When the screen goes black, you will face a critical, defining choice. The algorithm, designed by thousands of engineers, will immediately try to feed you another video. It will offer you another cheap hit of artificial inspiration. If you click it, you have learned absolutely nothing, and you remain a willing slave to the illusion of progress. But if you have even an ounce of Stoic iron left in your blood, you will close the app. You will put the phone face down. You will walk into the quiet, dark forge of your own life, and you will pick up the heavy hammer. Do not explain your philosophy to me in the comments today. Go out there and embody it in the dirt. Reclaim your sovereignty. Step into the arena. I will see you when the work is actually done.